5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And it's live.
This is Leicester Till I Die TV. Watch and subscribe on YouTube and listen on your podcast platform.
Hello, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, good night, good day, goodbye. Hello there. How are you doing? Honestly, only Leicester could drag it out like this. And only Leicester could do it while I am doing my preview show. I apologise to Mr. B. I did rush through the show a bit. He did have to actually rush on to another show himself, but I did rush him through to get through it, to get this ready to go. I mean, there's been a few shows, but look, don't know what's happening there. Hang on a second, that is completely wrong. Kate, hi, I'll bring Kate in a second. There we go, that's it. Right, let me do it right, otherwise we won't be able to see her, and that's the last thing that we want to do. There you go, Kate, good evening. Happy?
Oh, yeah. It's about
If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands.
Yeah, excited. I feel like it's been the longest wait. It's like Christmas has come early, but I feel like I've been waiting 2 years for it. What a long week that's been.
Tell me, maybe, and I've got to be up early in the morning, and I know you were on the BBC this morning. You went on.
No, I went on at 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock. Was it good?
Yeah, it was good.
Is there you put a link up? Is it that we can all listen to you?
Owen's just posted it, so I've just retweeted it.
Nice one. Well, I've got it. I mean, well done to Owen. 3 p.m. That's nice. 7:05 in the morning. I've got to be up for Talk Sport.
Oh no!
Whether that's because I think nobody's listening at that time. But I've got to say, very kindly, Kate, you sent me a picture earlier while I was trying to get through my preview show, and I'm like, why she sent me a picture of Gary Barlow at a concert? Because it was from behind, and it looked like he was on a stage doing like that with all these, fans in a show somewhere.
There's the Leicester City tweet. They put that out on Instagram or whatever. There's the silhouette of Ruud as a bit of a tease, as if it's a tease. I mean, who else?
I know. Yes. We can't even do that right, can we? You know what I mean? It took me a while, but I did actually finally work out. Yeah, I'll check this out. But I thought, why has she gone to a concert tonight? Is that some country singer that we don't know about? Look, I've got to show this because I was just been on Jack's channel, and I do like to embarrass people. But look, Kate there. Where are we? Let me go over this way. Kate RVN, Ruud Van Nistelrooy. He was your man.
Definitely was my man. When was that? From a few weeks ago? A couple of weeks ago?
That was from Tuesday.
Yeah, man.
And I mean, there's a few people went for, who did Craig went for Potter, but you know Craig, what he's like, you know. But look, I am really excited. I haven't felt this excited since Enzo got the job.
Yeah, I know what you mean. He's got I don't know whether it's because he's obviously a formidable player, and he's played at the very top of his game. He's played under Sir Alex. You know, he's got this amazing CV as a player, and then he's now rolling that into management. And that comes with, I think, and I said this on the podcast earlier with Owen, that it comes with a certain arrogance, but arrogantly confident, if you know what I mean, which I think quite an attractive trait in a manager. I think Enzo had exactly the same suave, if you like, that vibe and aura around him that just kind of commands a bit of respect and makes people pay attention.
Yes.
But I'm getting that feeling with Ruud, that he looks the business. He feels like it's a good, positive, strong appointment. And I think that will just automatically command respect in the dressing room as well.
You cannot not respect Ruud for what he's done, can you?
Exactly that. And I think someone like, I know we don't ever have to question Vardy's professionalism because it's second to none, but even someone like Vardy will be licking his lips of what's left in the twilight of his career to say, what's this going to teach me? Because Enzo had said only last week how open-minded Jamie is and how his ability to learn, even at this age where you've got really skills, he's still able to learn and be open-minded with stuff. And I think it's going to be the same with Ruud. Like, a lot of these players, young and old, will be thinking, this guy is a legend. He's a Premier League legend. And I get that it's a risk. I get that a lot of people are perhaps saying, well, Moyes was the safer pair of hands. But you could argue that Steve Cooper was arguably a safer pair of hands. And for me, it's not necessarily about the optics of that. It's about whether it feels a good fit, a good cultural fit. And I think it really does this time.
It does. And hi, Jack. How are you? It's been ages since I've seen you. Must be at least 10 minutes.
That's all right. I was discussing other things with other channels.
Can I just, I don't want to show that again, but Jack, Mr. Potter.
Not this type of night, Chris. Bloody hell. We're supposed to be enjoying it, not bloody soaking it in.
Kate, let me just, I wanted to ask this for Kate just before I come to you, Jack. You know,
go
Kate, everybody's been saying, and there's obviously been a lot online, that he is a very defensive coach. I mean, that's not a bad thing with our defence, is it? I mean, I was talking with Jack earlier on his channel. I mean, you know, you could find our defence in your kitchen hung next to the colander, couldn't you?
Yeah, tell it how it is, Chris. Don't sit on that fence. Yeah, I mean, I was reading the Athletic article earlier, and the Athletic article did like a Venn diagram with the strengths and weaknesses. I don't know if I saw that. And one of the biggest weaknesses for him was the patient attack, which I hadn't seen that stat before, and also a press. So everywhere else, it was very similar to what you would argue is potentially a bit like Steve Cooper, but I feel like that Ruud can execute it better. Like, I don't think anybody would have minded Cooper being ultra defensive, hitting on the break. I think Ruud plays with a bit more width, which will suit us. But he just didn't execute it, did he? That was the biggest problem. Everybody was a bit like, well, I've heard that he does this stuff, but I'm not really seeing it come out on the pitch at all. Whereas Ruud seems to be actually good at putting his plan into practice and executing it better. So, yeah, I mean, as long as we've got a plan, right? That's what everyone's been after.
Just one plan. We don't need a B. Just give us an A first of all. I asked this, Jack, the other day on our Tuesday discussion to Kate. What's going to be Ruud's priorities when he comes in?
To galvanise the squad, you know, pick it up and make them enjoy their football again. Bring that real good factor back to the team, the fans, and build that relationship, which is going to be key. You know, like he says, he wants to replicate what Enzo did. He wants an happy squad, and if he can replicate what he did at PSV, then I think he could definitely do that at Leicester. So they're the main things he's going to be considering first before talking about how to play this team and who to put in the team and his strengths and his weaknesses. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what he can replicate now he's come in.
Do you think, and look, we don't know whether, for 100%, Kate, whether he will look at the players he's got and play to their strengths, or decide this is my best formation, this is the way I want to play, so I'm just going to pick the players that will fit into that. If you were him, which way would you go?
I think you've got to play to the strengths of the personnel that you've got. It's really difficult to put square pegs in round holes. And I genuinely don't think for the vast majority of our team, they have the required skill set to be that versatile. We know Ricardo Pereira can do it.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple of others can do it. JJ can play both sides, for example. We know a couple of players have that skill set. But on the whole, 80% of the players play in their position for a reason, because they can't really play anywhere else, and they're good and experienced at what they do. So he has to stick to their skill set. And I think if he does that, we are safe. Obviously, the awful injury to Fatawit, we're well covered. We've got some decent players. We've got a lot of internationals, and I just feel like there's been so much carelessness go on the pitch that he's just got to sort of come in with an iron rod, I think, really, and mean business. And he's not there to make friends. If he falls out with Yannick, like Yannick's going to fall out with himself if he's not careful. He just needs to understand that sometimes, mate, I'm going to tell you what to do. You're not going to like it, but it's for the good of the team. The way, and I think Enzo could do that, he commands respect and you engage in him. And he obviously did that with Yannick, Enzo, and he got him singing a right tune, didn't he, last year?
Yeah.
So it's just, it's the man management side of it. We always talk about that, but it's knowing how to deal with each individual personality. And there's some big personalities in that dressing room. Some are really good for the club and some are not so good for the club and need to be managed. So he's seen it all before. God, he's been in numerous Man United dressing rooms. I'm not sure he was there when, I don't think he was there, was he, when Beckham flung the boot at Sir Alex? But he's seen it all. Like, he'll have seen it all. So he's worked with Yap Stam, they're big personalities as well. Like, I think he'll be that won't intimidate him at all.
No. And I know you've got to go, so thank you for coming on. But I just want to ask you one last question before I go. Enzo spoke to Ruud and sold the club to him. I mean, Enzo spoke very nicely before the Chelsea game about Top and the club, etc. Enzo could really have dropped us in it, to a point of saying, look, the owners don't tell us anything, the Owen, make sure you've got this tied down and that tied down, etc. You've got to give Enzo a little bit of credit for that, haven't you?
I didn't know that, to be honest. I've just seen that. I didn't know that.
Right.
I mean, crikey, we've gave Enzo the best springboard he could ever want, really, going into that job. We took a punt perhaps when no one else would. And despite what the rumours are about what or wasn't available to him in the transfer window and whether or not he was told or not told, my argument is if you don't know that Leicester are in financial problems, you've had your head in the sand, to quote Nigel Pearson. But at the end of the day, Top is still a great person to work for. Those facilities are amazing. They treat you with respect. You can't always get what you want your own way. Top can't even get his own way because he'd love to put another 100 million in the club if he wanted to, but he can't. So I think a lot of it from Enzo is how we made him feel, and he got given total autonomy from a manager perspective, which I think is what a lot of these managers do. They want the autonomy, and I think Top will do that. If you need me to come in, I will. He's obviously shown this week if he's bollocked a few of the players and the squad, and he expects better. But from Enzo's point of view, like, why would you say anything bad, really? Because PSR is some of our fault, but it's not all of our fault. The rules are very, very restrictive. And, if that training ground, facility and owner can't woo you, then nothing will.
Exactly. Well, obviously, Potter doesn't like to be wooed, does he? Kate, thank you very much for coming in. Just give a shout out as to where people can follow you and find your interview with the BBC earlier today.
X at Kate Blakey 40, and you can find the latest When You're Smiling podcast that I did today with Owen and Liam Moore just on the BBC Sound stuff. I think Owen shared it on Twitter as well. So hit me up on there.
And why are you getting the decent times and I'm getting 7:05 in the bloody mornings? It's not fair. Kate, have a great weekend. Hey, I'm feeling confident about the match. Are we going to win?
Obviously.
Yeah.
No.
All the best, Kate. Thank you very much. Cheers. Bye-bye.
See you later.
Sorry, Jack. I know that she could only pop in for 5. So right, let me just pop you a Viagra, and I just got to find the right one here. There we
Some
go.
more stuff there, Chris. Telling you.
Reese, I'm going back. Just catch up with a few comments. Reese was in very early at 7:30, but I did put this back about 4 times. Renee, hi Renee, how are you? First, it's West Ham on Tuesday. Well, he says here, and this is something I mentioned on your show, wasn't it, Jack? I wanted to call you Jock for some reason. Then I do apologise. I'm sure you've been called worse. Are we in and stand watching Brentford game? Look, we know that that's what happened with Brendan when he took over. I think it was Brighton, wasn't it? And he was in the stands, and he went down into the dressing room. Do you see Ruud doing that, or will he just watch from afar?
No, I think it'll be the same hands-on approach, isn't it? He'll look what is happening in the game and that. Obviously, half-time would be good where he can go in, have that chat with the players about what he'd expect from them in the second half and that, whether it's good or how they can improve. And yeah, I think that's the type of manager he'll be, Chris. He wants to be very vocal. Like you say, he demands respect. So hopefully he can get it. Enzo did the same. And, it's something that I'm looking forward to him doing. He's got to get this squad galvanised and really up for games. And the only thing that I feel he's going to be really good at is getting them up for the fight. And, and that's something we've got to be doing from Brentford game now for the rest of the season.
Yes. And do you think, look, everybody's been saying, like, is he the right man? He hasn't got the Premier League experience, etc., etc. He's played in the Premier League for top teams. He's assisted in the Premier League. He managed all right for 4 games. A couple of those were probably, I don't think there's a couple that were in the Premier League. But he's actually been a manager for longer than Enzo was.
Yeah, Enzo were one that just came out of nowhere, really, wasn't it? People only knew him because he was the assistant of Pep Guardiola. Obviously won the Champions League in that time. The treble or whatever it was. Yeah. And like I said, no one knew what Enzo could do at club level. And Leicester obviously took the gamble on that, and it proved what Enzo wanted to do from the off, his style of football and have an identity going forward. It proved, and we won the championship last season, and that's something that Ruud's going to be the same. Some people who are opposition fans would write him off and say, "Yeah, what a risk that is, what a gamble that is." But Chris, the thing is, with managers, it's a risk in whatever manager you have at a football club, whether it can happen, it could be good, it could be bad. You never know how it's going to pan out in the end. And you've only got to take that chance and see what happens. And I think, Top had to get this appointment right, in my opinion. And it's good to see that he was in full control of this process. And fingers crossed he got the right man.
Well, we will know. Obviously, hindsight is a wonderful thing, and we'll know sort of in a few months, etc. But it feels like the right appointment, doesn't it? I think I said again when I was on your channel earlier, I haven't felt this excited with Cooper. I didn't feel excited at all. Yes, I thought he could be one of the 3 I wanted originally. He might be able to keep us up. Like I say, hindsight is wonderful. But that excitement, that buzz that we had when we got appointed Enzo, I feel like we're getting that buzz now with Ruud Van Nistelrooy. And even if he proves long-term that, it was the wrong decision, I think we would say, yeah, we understand why Top's done it.
Yeah, I think when Steve came in, it wasn't really a appealing appointment, were it? Let's put it like that. Steve would talk to us like we're bloody prime Barcelona, innit? Even though we're probably Primark Barcelona when it comes to playing the game, And
yeah.
The thing is I find with Ruud is he'll talk a good game and he'll actually put it into action. With Steve, he really struggled to even do that at all. He struggled to get the fans on side, even though the amount of times he spoke about it, the improvements and that, and he just couldn't do it. And obviously Ruud spoke quite highly at PSV with what he wanted to do and how he planned on going forward with PSV, and he did exactly that. He won 2 trophies, for God's sake, in his first season. And, you know, he's not cut any corners. He's worked from the bottom and gone to the top. Worked under Ronald Koeman, Gus Hiddink, and managers like that, you know, where he's learned quite a lot off them. He speaks quite highly about Marcelo Bielsa. He spoke about Enzo in how he's gone about things as well. So he's learned bits from different managers, and obviously Enzo's on speed dial, isn't it? So, you know, he'll obviously speak to Enzo, and obviously that was the first phone call he made, Enzo Maresca, and Enzo's helped Leicester out. So, yeah, it's good to see that Enzo's far back in it.
Fair play to him. I went on to Lox's channel, and he said, "Oh, you hated Ruud Van Nistelrooy. You hated Enzo." And I said, "No, I was really excited by his appointment, but I was a little bit iffy about, you know, mid-term when it started to go wrong. But I did when he walked out on us. I hated him because that was my initial reaction. And I don't think you'll find a Leicester player that on that day when it was announced didn't go F off Enzo." But when you know, like I say, there's no sitting on the fence here, mate. But you know when a couple of days later, you're taking it in and you're going, look, it was a better job. It may not come round again. You've got to go for it. We're only the same in our jobs. He had no link to Leicester, and you kind of say fair play to him.
Yeah,
I'll forgive him totally if he lets us have KDH back in January, but. He could have done the shit on us, like I said to Kate, couldn't he, with Ruud, and said, "Oh, do you avoid them? They don't tell you anything and what have you." So fair play to him for bigging us up.
That'd be credit to him, innit? You know, like you said, he has a special relationship with the players and that. He still speaks to them and that, and obviously he did the job in beating us and getting Steve Cooper sacked with what fans would have wanted, you know, and that's like Christmas come early, isn't it? Instead of us getting
that as well, Enzo. He's knocking the plus points up, isn't he? Here?
Instead of us sacking Chelsea managers and getting them sacked for beating them, he did the other thing, and obviously helped us out with Ruud Van Nistelrooy and getting him at Leicester when Leicester wanted him, and he spoke to Ruud about Leicester and how good Leicester is and that, and he spoke quite highly of the owners. And, you know, you understand why Enzo left, innit? I mean, Chelsea's bloody trebled his wages, for God's sake. It's the same job, you know, you take it. And Chelsea are a big club, aren't they? You know, people were wary about Chelsea with Enzo going there thinking, yeah, it's going to just be like every other manager. But he's gone in, he's not gave a care in the world of anything. He's just did what Enzo does best, you know. He spoke vocal about everything, the rights, the wrongs, and what he did at Leicester. And, you know, and the thing is, you've got to respect Enzo. He came in, he did the job that he came in, what he were brought in to do, Chris, and got us back to the Premier League.
Just says here, Ruud will arrive in the UK in time to be in attendance for our Premier League trip to Brentford on Saturday before assuming full first-team responsibilities from Sunday. And again, I apologise, I'm going to be asking you all the questions that you asked me not half an hour ago.
You got them written down, Chris.
Just playing the tape here. But that's going to, if you're wearing that Leicester blue on Saturday, and you know that Ben Dawson's in the dugout, but you know that guy is up there watching you. And look, he comes with a certain gravitas, doesn't he? He's got that. He will get respect just by walking in the changing room for what he's got. And fair play to him that, you know, he's come to us. We'll come to that in a second. But the players are going to give that little bit extra, aren't they?
Yeah, they want to impress the new manager, you know. The guy will demand respect and he'll get it. Like I say, they've got to go and put that fight in what he'll want to see from them this season, you know. And like I say, with January, you know, some of the players he might not want, he might want to get rid of, ones that he feel he can't get the best out of and bring new players in. So they'll want to try and keep their places at Leicester, Chris, you know. They'll want to prove a point to him to say, you know what, I am good enough, I deserve to be in this 11. And that's what it's going to be about on Saturday. And I think you're going to see a whole different Leicester City.
Well, let's hope so.
Yeah.
If he's there, do you think he'll do what Brendan did and go down and say something, or will he stand afar and just let Ben get on with it?
I always think he'll always have that words of wisdom, that words of advice to pass on to Ben Dawson, and say, well, this is how I want the team to play. This is how I want you to set them up and how I want them to go about the game and stick to the game plan, which is going to be key this season. And, if it's not working in the first half, plan A, then we'll switch to plan B but better. Well, plan A, but better. But, I think there's something you've always got to do with managers like that. And they want to succeed in the best way possible. And obviously, Ben Dawson's got the job to do on the touchline. So it brings pressure. But I think Ruud will take that pressure off him straight away.
I mean, do you think Ben's thinking, well, if I get a win here, because he must be looking and thinking, how long is my job going to be safe here?
Yeah.
Because Ruud got dumped, and let's face it, we're talking Ruud Van Nistelrooy here, up here compared to, no disrespect to Ben Dawson. But, Amram came in and went, see you, Ruud, because he wanted his own men in, obviously.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know, there's rumours that Ruud might be bringing a few Man United coaches or links, that have been at Man United over the years. But Ben must be looking at how long he's going to be there. But for me, I think the right thing not necessarily, I don't know, as his assistant manager, but as one of the coaches, keep him because he can talk to. He's got, like with Craig and what have you, Shakespeare.
Yeah.
When oh my God, my mind. Yes, Ranieri took over. I feel like it's going to be that sort of thing. It'd be good to keep him on. I'm wittering on here. What I'm actually saying is, do you think it's a good idea that he should keep Ben on for that sort of overlap?
Yeah, I think Ben will want to show that he's got something to offer to Ruud's backroom staff, which is going to be the main thing for him. Like I say, Ruud is with the experience in management and that, with PSV and that, so he'll have a lot to offer. But Ben can say, well, I've got things to offer for you and this backroom staff. You can keep me on, and I think we'd work well as a team. And that's something Ben would have to prove to him for sure.
Can you see? I mean, he's going to want to bring some players in, I'm sure, in January. Can you see players going?
I think it'd be sort of the types of players that are out of contract in the summer next year. So I think they'll be the types of players that will look to think, you know what, we can get a fee out of. Because if you look at Leicester, Chris, over the years, we let Tillerman's contract run down, we let bloody Johnny Evans' contract run, and players like that, and you're thinking, yeah, but we could have got money for players like that. Why didn't we? And do you know what I mean? That's something we made a mistake in doing, thinking these players, we could keep them and get new contracts out for them, but then they just didn't want to stay on. They wanted to move clubs, and that's something that I'm sure Top will keep in mind now with January and that, if we can make a buck or two on these players that are fringe players and that, then we can do it. You just don't want to allow them to run down till the summer and then you end up losing them on a free agent again.
No. As David said there, I think we should hang on to Ben Dawson. He spoke so well at the press conference, gave me confidence for tomorrow. As I say, for me, he just provides that link. And that was something, in fairness to Cooper, that he didn't have.
Yeah.
He came in, Enzo had taken literally all his staff with him, and there was nobody there to say to Steve Cooper, don't do that, mate. He can't do that. There was that just didn't exist. So I felt a little bit sorry for him in that way. So hopefully that's why I hope he can keep hold of Ben. The interesting thing, and we talked about different positions on the pitch that you might look at, and we'll maybe touch that in a second, but I want to speak strikers.
Okay.
Because obviously that is his area. He wasn't a bad striker, was he, in his day?
No.
And you could say Varney's injured
for no reason, Chris. I'm telling you.
Yeah, but you got stick your boots on. And Daka. Let me say it before, because I always forget him. If Ruud cannot get a tune out of Daka, we've got to kind of say that's it for him, isn't it, really?
Yeah, Daka's been at the club a few years, hasn't he, now?
Yeah.
So you're thinking to yourself, if other managers can't get a tune out of him, what chance have I got? Obviously, he's going to work closely with Daka to pass on that experience that he had as a striker once upon a time, to say to Daka, well, this is what I did and this is how I got better and improved. This is how I can help you. And maybe we might see a completely Patson Daka. But I'm not going to go too far ahead into the future with that type of comment because you never know what it holds. But you know, he's got Tom.
I wouldn't write it down and embarrass you with it. You know, you know, I wouldn't do that. The other striker,
though, hasn't he? He's got Tom Cannon out on loan at Stoke. Does he bring him back in January to say, you know what, give me another attacking option? Edward. Yeah. It's not worked out the way he'd hoped. I think that was more of a panic type of signing.
I was going to ask you about Edouard. He's only on loan.
Yeah.
And I still think that he was going to say, hi, James, by the way, how you doing, mate? A co-host with mine on Surreals Radio. Welcome along, buddy. Hope you're well. He's an Arsenal fan, but we'll forgive him that. You're still welcome to pop in, mate. No, you know, with Edouard, I do think he was brought in because we were all moaning we needed a striker, blah, blah, blah.
We were desperate.
We were. We've got 2 loanees, and I think that's the most we can have at the club. We're not going to let Brunetti go back, although I was speaking to Kevin Maguire earlier about this particular company being an OGC crime ring by the sound of it. And he's a Brighton fan, so I did tell him, like, you know, can he forget that he's loaned him out and just let us keep it? I don't think that's going to happen. But does he stick with Edouard? I mean, he's got a month to assess him. He's hardly had any game time. He's not my favourite. Or does he send him back, which would then obviously free a place to bring another loan player in? As David says here, in fact.
Like I say, yeah, I'd probably do that, to be fair. You know, Edouard wasn't ideal. A choice for us with the strikers if we could have got better. I think we were desperate in the time. We needed a striker with Daka injured and that. Cannon went out on loan and we'd only had Jamie Vardy in the squad, so we kind of thought we were desperate. And then we obviously played Ayew as a sort of striker to help Vardy. And I think that I don't really know what Edouard offers. I mean, Palace were happy enough to send him out on loan. I think we could probably get better with Ruud Van Nistelrooy. He'll know what kind of striker we need. We obviously need a prolific striker who can bang in the goals. Obviously, we all rely on Jamie Vardy most of the time. So we need somebody who can help Vardy out as well regarding goal scoring. Hopefully, Ruud can sit down with Top and that and say, well, okay, then these are the type of strikers we need. Here's some names. Can we go and get them in January?
Yes. And, I mean, Cooper went with Daka. You could see that was going to be his main focus. We've got Daka still for a few years, and the problem with that is I don't know if we sell him, who we would sell him to, and you know who we would what sort of money we'd get for him. But I'm all for bringing Cannon back.
Yeah. I think Cannon. The only thing I worry about with Cannon is, can he cut it in the Premier League? I mean, he didn't really get much Championship time last season due to injury and that. So he's obviously gone in there this season. Probably, you'd say, give him a full season in the Championship and then see what Ruud could do with him in the summer. Maybe that's the way forward, but we'll see what happens. Obviously, he's scoring for Stoke, and they seem to think he's one of the best strikers he's seen at the club in one of the supporters, they were talking about Tom Cannon quite highly, to be fair. And he's got the player in him, Tom Cannon. I just think injuries have just shortened his game time and that. And I just think if you can play him consistent and not get him injured, I think he'd score goals.
Yeah. And before I let you go, and thank you so much for coming on, a couple of questions about bringing players back. Harry Maguire. Now,
What about him?
would you have him back?
Is he better than what we've got? Yes. He proved it when he were at Leicester, how good he was. And his Man United career has just not worked out, has it, for
No.
the best of him, has it really? Would I take him back at Leicester? Maybe if the price were right. I know we sing that song, don't we? We've got when we sang that song about Sion Chu and F off Maguire. But I tell you what, is he better than what we've got? Could he do a job at Leicester? Of course he could, but would he want to come back? Probably not. So,
well, it depends on how Amaron takes to him.
Does he want him?
Yeah, Jim, I'll just bring you in 2 seconds. I've got one more question here, which is that one below for you there, Jack. Edward for KDH. I mean, when I had Chelsea Perspective on for a preview of our match that we lost, he said KDH isn't going to go anywhere. He should, he plays for them in Europe. He played for them the other night, but there's still that sort of like, I mean, if he wants to sort of really get into our good books, Enzo, he'll let us have KDH back on loan in January.
Yeah, I love KDH to bits. He were a good player. He were a valiant player last season in that squad to get us back up. Rightfully player of the season. It was a shame to lose him, Chris. I mean, with PSR, we had to sell one of our best assets at the time because we never knew what we're going to go on after. Do we regret selling him now? Of course we do, because we know PSR we beat it. So I don't know. Would I take him back in January?
We beat it because we sold him, though. That was the thing, wasn't it?
Yeah. Would I take him back in January? I mean, I've spoke about it quite a number of times. Yes, I would.
Yeah. I wouldn't have taken him back under Cooper because I don't think Cooper would have got the best out of him. It'd have probably put him in goal or something. But I think now we've got...
be a ball boy, Chris.
Exactly. Jack, thanks very much for popping on. I really, really do appreciate it, mate. I give a shout out as to where people can find you.
You can find me at the Final Whistle. We do match previews, match reviews, match day vlogs. Go and check our recent chat on the appointment of Ruud Van Nistelrooy. I was joined by Chris to chat about that. So go and check that out. Subscribe to the channel. Go and follow us on the socials as well as the Final Whistle. Go and check out TikTok. We put some bits on there regarding Leicester.
You'll be live on TikTok tomorrow, won't you, from the ground?
Yeah, I'll be there and about. So if you see me tomorrow, come and say hello. Come and give me your score prediction. Come and give me your thoughts on Ruud Van Nistelrooy. We'll chat all things Leicester and hopefully 3 points.
Brilliant, Jack. All the best. Safe journey tomorrow. Bring back the 3 points for us. Cheers, buddy. Bye-bye. Jim, good evening. It looks like you've got a smile on your face.
Yeah. Well, first of all, it's afternoon over here. So.
Oh, is it? Good afternoon. I do apologize.
No, I'm excited. I mean, we talked during the week. Wasn't sure if he was going to be the guy. Wasn't sure if he was the guy that I wanted. But as it got closer, I guess my biggest concern at first was his managerial record. As far as success or not success, and the short stint in the Premier League with Man U. But the more I read about how he did at PSV, the more I was convinced that if he got the opportunity, he would be the right choice. I like what Jack said. I was listening a few minutes ago. It is a gamble. It is a risk. But my goodness, everything I've been reading online, everything's been exciting. Everybody's excited, as you said it yourself. So I think this is probably the best hire for us right now to bring that excitement back.
It is. We didn't. I mean, I say Cooper, as I keep saying, was one of the 3 I wanted. I can't get away from that. But there was no buzz, was there, when he was appointed? Enzo came in from left field. We had no idea. And there was that buzz, and they were like, well, he's only been a manager for 12 games. Doesn't matter. He's been Pep's number 2, blah, blah, blah. There's that buzz with Ruud Van Nistelrooy. coming in. I mean, everybody's been doing shows, programs. There's been about 4 tonight. It's just, that's what we need. I think when Enzo came in, we were so down with the relegation that he gave that lift. And I think that's what Ruud's going to give us.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think you're right on with being down. Back then with the relegation, we were down. There come the lift. I think right now we're underperforming in every facet of the games. And I think right now the fan base needs this excitement. And like I said, as Jack said, it's a risk, it's a gamble, but why not? Why not?
Do you think, though, knowing that like Cooper didn't, he turned us down numerous times, Moyes was the other choice. Do you think that if it fails, and we're not going to know till the end of the season and wherever we finish at the end of the season, and if we're 17th by 1+1 goal difference, he'll have done what was expected of him. If it doesn't go wrong, though, I still feel it's a case of, well, I'm not going to be mad, if you like, because we've given it a go.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to look ahead that way. I don't want to think that but following your scenario, I do think he's going to get the team to play hard. And if it's in the cards that we do go down, I think it'll be his number one purpose to get us back up. I think he sees this as a real great opportunity for him. I think he knows he's energizing the fan base. I did read in the Leicester Mercury earlier today what Jack said. His first phone call he made was to Enzo when Leicester came calling or Leicester was interested. And Enzo gave him the big thumbs up, go for it. So I think he'll see this as a great opportunity. I think he'll make the most of it. And I think should something happen at the end of the season, like you suggested, I think it would be, he would have that as the biggest goal to get us back up. Now, one of the things reading that I do like about him, and I read, and you might have talked about it earlier, I didn't catch the beginning of it, but like Johnny Evans, talking to Johnny Evans, he says the world about Ruud. He talks about he feels very strongly about his defensive line, the back line, strengthening that. And to hear Johnny Evans and Harry Maguire, 2 ex-Leicester City players, talk about that, you think from a striker the way he was, he really puts an emphasis on the back line, which is certainly where we're hurting. So that's positive.
I mean, we were talking earlier that, you're not going to win games if your defense is all over the place. That's the first thing you have to sort out. And we need our defense sorting out. And you can look at Wout Faes and go, well, he's a Belgium international. The Belgian press are ripping off one at the moment. And he's got a mistake in him every game. And yes, he's a striker, but great, come in, and that's got to be sort of his number one priority, hasn't it?
Yeah, and he also said he's big on attacking. I mean, they talked about the number of goals that his former squad scored when he was managing at PSV, and he likes to attack. Now that makes sense. That follows along with the striker role that he played and the goal scorer that he was. But I like the fact he wants to solidify the back line and then open it up to, some attacking football. Yeah.
David says there, honestly, this is the biggest buzz among the Foxes faithful since 15-16, maybe since FA Cup win as well. Even Ranieri, let's be honest with you, didn't get that big a buzz when he came in. But I think, yes, he's a big name, but you can get a big name in and it can go completely wrong. I mean, you're of a certain age like me, and you probably remember Fran McClintock coming in after Jimmy Bloomfield.
No, but tell me more.
Well, Jimmy Bloomfield, we had a team that they used to say that we played the closest thing to Brazil as any English team, but we never won anything. And after a few seasons, we had the likes of Weller, Worthington, the good players, probably one of the best teams we've ever had, but we just didn't win anything. And the fans moaned, and eventually they got the board sacked in because they were under pressure from the fans or what have you. And we were finishing comfortably mid-table every season, 7th to 10th. And then we signed Frank McClintock, who was an ex-player of Leicester's. He'd been at Arsenal, the part of the Arsenal back four. He came in and we got relegated. Completely, a bit like Peter Taylor, if you like, but he managed to do it in his first season.
Yeah.
So going for a big name doesn't guarantee you success, but I do feel, like I say, with Ruud, he has had that he's had more managerial experience really than
Enzo
when he took over. Exactly, yeah.
No, I like the buzz. You're right. They could have gone safer with David Moyes. As we talked the other day, with Graham Potter being turned down at the altar multiple times, I didn't have a good, warm feeling. David Moyes would have not been a splashy or an exciting hire. I think this is what we needed. I think Top realized he needed to do something, bold, and this is bold.
Yeah. Certainly is. David said there, and I feel really old now. Thank you, David. My dad raves about the Blue Brazil and nearly signed Johan Cruyff. Yes, we did. We were in the process of signing Johan Cruyff. I can't remember which manager it was, and I think that was actually under Jock Wallace. He nearly signed Johan Cruyff, but it sneaked out into the papers, and it got out, and Johan Cruyff backed off. But yes, the Blue Brazil, that's what we should call them from now on. I've got to say, do you remember about a week ago, I asked all the presenters who they wanted in as their manager?
Yeah.
Now, I don't want to embarrass you or say anything, but let me just see. I don't know if everybody can see that what name is next to Jim?
David Moyes.
Yes, and I've got to say, I know where you're coming from, and I'm doing it for laughs, obviously. But
no.
But again, he'd have probably kept us up, wouldn't he?
He would have, and that's what I said earlier. I think it would have been the safe hire. I think he would have kept us up. Not saying that Ruud's not going to, because now I'm in the Ruud camp and he will. But I think with at the time we talked and I went with Moyes, I didn't really know enough about Van Nistelrooy's track record managing. Okay. And of course I wanted to know more. So I read and I thought, well, that's a little better than what I thought. The excitement certainly would come about. So am I disappointed that it's not Moyes? Not one bit, not one bit. And I'll say that at the end save that card. I'll say that at the end of the year. Because I think he's going to give us that excitement. And I want to say the players may buy in a little bit more with a former, star player and recent. I mean, a lot of the managers have played back in their day, but a lot of these current players have never heard of them. They have to look them up in the history books or watch the films on them. But I think with Ruud Van Nistelrooy, he gets a little bit of credence now as a former star player and a very young manager. So,
I mean, we've got to accept. To be honest with you, whether it was Potter, Ruud Van Nistelrooy, or Moyes, any one of those I would have been happy with. But Ruud was my choice. My worry with Ruud is that what's going to happen is if he does keep us up. And like I say, if he keeps us up in 17th, that's his job done. Like with Enzo. Yes, we only went up by 1 point at the end, but we went up. That was all that mattered. Championship, being champions was a bonus, a Brucey bonus, but it was all about going up. And then if he does keep us up, and it will quite a feather in his cap if he can, who might come knocking, because of who he is. And I'm not saying it will necessarily be Man United because I think Amorim will get longer than the one season. But that's the only worry with, and that's the club we are. We're going to be a club that always has the managers and best players poached.
Well, I would hope. I mean, of course, Enzo, he fell into that. But I would hope that Ruud would see this as like I said earlier, a great opportunity, and he would be loyal at least another year. Certainly, if we stay up, he now will have more players. There'll be more success. More players will want to come. He'll be more prepared with a season under his belt for the next season. Maybe bringing in and tweaking the style on the way. No, I think, with success, I don't see him jumping maybe at the first call.
I mean, he said at the start, and he's made no bones about this, that he wants to be Man United manager at some point.
Mm-hmm.
I think this time now it was a little bit too early for him. And I think the Glaziers may well have gone for him because it would have kept the fans on side. But I think, Tim Ratcliffe has sort of would realise you need somebody a little bit more experienced at this level for what Man United are. If he was to leave us in a couple of years and go to Man United, I would say all the best, Ruud. Thank you very much, because it's his team, if you like.
Yeah, I mean, and then he would have been successful if they wanted him.
Exactly.
So if we have a few years of success under him, it may be worthwhile. But he's going to build a team. He's already attacking, bringing the excitement, and now he's got to put the product on the field.
He has, but again, I mean, he didn't have a bad interview, did he? Beating Leicester twice. That wasn't bad. But look, he took a team in Man United, you could say were actually underperforming more than we were, because, look at the star players they've got, and, they're up here compared to our players, which are down here, no disrespect to them, but obviously they're worth a lot more. And he turned that round. He had 4 games in charge, 3 wins, 1 draw, no losses, 11 goals for, 3 against, and we got a couple of them. So that, I mean, to do that at Man United and have that much of an instant impact, that's the potential that shouts to me. That's what excites me.
Oh, absolutely. And I like what you said. Not only did he have an interview for Leicester, but he could see what was going on at Leicester. So he had a first-hand, in-person view of what we are, what we do, who the players are. And you and I can talk, and all your presenters can talk as much as you want. Players can see players. Former players can see former players. They know where the strengths are, and they can see where the abilities are. And I could see someone like Ruud look at some of our players, maybe our strikers, maybe our midfielders, and say, I could do something with him. I can improve him. So not only did Leicester get to see him, but he got a good firsthand look at us.
That is an excellent point. Yeah, very, very good point. And I think I've said, look, there's players that are in that team that I'm not a fan of. Edouard is one, and Ndidi at the moment. If you've ever watched any of the watch-alongs, you'll know my thoughts.
Yes, I know Ndidi, yeah.
Yeah. However, look, it's a new manager, so to me, we draw a line and we start afresh. Everybody in that squad gets a chance, even Edouard. Because look what Enzo managed to do, with Vestergaard. He turned Ndidi into prime Messi. So whilst those players may not be that brilliant under Cooper, and he will decide, because he's got a month now to look at these players, 5 games, including tomorrow's, to see those players, see who he wants to keep. But everybody's got to be given a clean sheet, haven't they?
Right. Everybody will be given a clean sheet, but it also gives the players a chance to step up. Basically, he can light a fire under their ass. Yes. And they're going to go, holy cow, because they got complacent maybe with Cooper. Maybe he just didn't connect. We don't know what was going on behind the scenes. But with Van Nistelrooy coming in, he gets to see what the players really are. And they get a chance to show him, hey, this is, we can do this. We're bought in. He also may, like I said, tweak style. He also may change the playing style that will benefit an Ndidi or someone that's not performing well. I mean, I don't see him doing it Well, maybe. I don't know. I was going to say I don't see him doing it overnight, but
No.
that may be what it takes. But yeah, different playing style eventually, and certainly a new guy on the line that they're gonna step up.
And Top's got it right, hasn't he? I mean, he's taken a gamble, but he took a gamble with Enzo, and that's what you need sometimes. All managers are a gamble, let's be honest with you. You know, Martin O'Neill was a gamble. Peter Taylor, he was unbeaten as England under-21 manager, I think, when we took him on. So there was, every manager is a gamble. But you normally sort of, and he's replaced him now. And I think he was talking to him. I mean, look, what day are we today? Friday. So it's 5 days since Cooper was sacked. You're not telling me in those 5 days he's approached Ruud Van Nistelrooy and he's got it all agreed. He was talking to him before Chelsea, wasn't he?
Absolutely. Especially when it was made clear he was not staying at Man U. He had to, if he was smart, and I know he must be, he had to have all of his doors open. He had to have his ears up, listening to whoever was speaking. And with Leicester, and we said it on one of the shows, we had the opportunity, being the first one that sacked their manager, to jump. And who knows if it would be another club, he may have listened to them first. So,
well, if you look at Everton, look at their brand new stadium that they've got. That's good. I mean, yes, we've got the brand, we got the training facility, but look at that stadium. It's amazing. I've got to say, West Ham, a club with potential as well there with a huge stadium. So there were other options that he might, like you say, had they been approached him first. So well done to Top for getting that in and early. And I think as well, if you we always say, like, if you're going to get a manager, get the new one in time for the January transfer window. Now, usually that means sort of after Christmas or, after that break. But he's brought Ruud in now. Ruud has got to work with these players that he's got for 5 games. Well, he's obviously got the one tomorrow, which is it 6 games, including the one tomorrow? I'm not sure, but he's got that one tomorrow. And then the rest of the games are his, he will be in charge. So that's a whole month's worth of games for him to assess the players and not just watch past videos, but to actually assess the players. And to me, that is fantastic. I mean, that is worth its weight in gold.
Oh, absolutely. When you see him firsthand and when you have an influence on them, to your point, you can watch videos all day long, but to be able to see them in practice and do this or not do this, he can see it and he can make corrections or at least give them feedback immediately. And then see how it portrays out on the pitch when the next game comes. Hey, this is what I'd like you to do in this situation, and see if they can follow through with it. If I'm not mistaken, his first game in full charge, not just watching, is going to be Tuesday, West Ham.
It is indeed. Yeah.
Good.
Home game. It's going to be an atmosphere and a half, I'm sure.
I might fly over for it now that I know that.
Get over here, mate. I'm just looking. Yeah, that's the first game. That's the 3rd of December, Tuesday, at home. Then he's away to Brighton on the Sunday. He's at home to Brighton, on the Sunday. Away to Newcastle on the Saturday. The 22nd of December is home to Wolves. 26th of December it's Liverpool. And it's Manchester City on the 29th. So he's actually got 6 games after this one when he is in total control.
Right.
If you had 6 pre-season games, you're not going to learn as much from a pre-season game as you are from an actual competitive match.
Right. And don't forget, he has the film of the first part of the season. Okay, so he has that. So he may see something that excites him or see something that he looks and says, this has got to change. And then he sees how it, transfers into the actual matches. You're right. Looking at the schedule, West Ham match at home, he can win that. Or we can win that. Yeah. Brighton at home, we can win that. I mean, imagine the fan base if he pulls off 2 W's in his first 2 go rounds, and then takes a competitive team to Newcastle, whether they get a W or not, just to get there and compete. Because what we want as fans, we want victories, but we want to get out there and have them compete every minute.
This is what we haven't been doing. We haven't been competing, have we?
Nope.
No, like you say, I mean, without wanting to sort of jump the gun, Brentford now, look, I think he's in the crowd. And like I said earlier, before he came in, do you remember when Brendan Rodgers was appointed? His first game, which I think was Brighton at home, he was in the crowd, but he went down into the dressing room before the game and possibly at half time as well, just to sort of let people know he was there. Whether he said something or not, I don't know. I think they've said he's going to be at the match tomorrow, Ruud Van Nistelrooy.
Right.
So do you think that he should get involved? I mean, all right, Ben Dawson's the man, but he's going to have to nip down and just say something, isn't he?
I think what I would do, and maybe people would think differently, the players are going to know and the fans are going to know that he's there. And I think, once again, that's going to get the players on their front foot. I would let Ben Dawson run the team. I think it's his opportunity for that one match to get in there and play. I think coming down into the locker room, I would let the first team coach right now, Dawson, run this match. But they're going to know. The team's going to know. The fans are going to know. They may even show him up on the big screen that he's there. So, and then afterwards, then go down there. But I wouldn't get involved. I wouldn't go down and give him a pep talk, because then it undermines or demeans what Dawson's doing. And let's face it, it starts the time where the players are going to start auditioning for playing time and for starting roles.
They know that he's there and he's going to be watching, and they're going to have to start performing and literally showing that they want to. Like I say, showing that passion that has been lacking. Because I say sometimes, I know you pop in on the watch-alongs, and sometimes I'm watching it, and the players have just stood there like, what are we supposed to be doing here? You know what I mean? And they'll have to at least put some effort in. Like LCFC Forever said there. I mean, Brentford, I don't know if we're going to win that. It might be a little bit too soon. I think West Ham, like you say, is winnable. Brighton, I think we could get a point there. But like David's just said, we don't have Buenete because obviously he's playing his parent club. They're away to Newcastle. It depends which Newcastle turns up. They can lose just as easily as win. Yeah. Wolves on the 22nd will be a big one.
Yeah.
Because obviously they're down there with us. So, but it's winnable. But, it could be very costly if we lose it. And then Liverpool away Boxing Day and Manchester City home on the 29th. Yeah. Whatever, if we get a point from those 2 games, I'd be happy, to be honest with you.
We just, I totally agree. We just want to fight. I mean, West Ham, not that we're forecasting, but West Ham, Brighton, Wolves, we should win. I mean, that's 3 victories right there. We could catch a point or catch lightning and beat Newcastle. We could be on a roll after the Brentford match, and then take it to the Liverpool and Man Cities. At least show them that we've got fight, and that's what we're looking for.
Yeah. David, when I said pep talk, I meant an upbeat cheer up, not a Pep Guardiola talk. But I would have given you an award if we had an award for comment of the show on that one. Just to remind everybody, whether you saw it or not, I don't know. You don't know whether you've seen this or not at all, Jim. But there's a lot of black going around at the moment about our sponsors. There we go.
Oh, yes, I did.
Yes. Now, I have to say, I'm a little bit worried. I actually emailed them about a week ago asking what was going on when it first came out. And they sent me an email back, but it came from the PR department. It was probably pretty standard, to be honest with you, but saying, no, they're committed, blah, blah, blah. The thing is now that they are being accused of being within one of the biggest illegal betting rings in in continental Europe. I actually had on Kieran Maguire. He's been on the channel a couple of times. Absolutely knows his stuff when it comes to football. He goes on TalkSport, he goes on Sky, he goes to the clubs, he goes on channels as well. Has his own podcast. What I'm not going to say what was said because I want you to go and watch the video, everybody. So, but do check it out. It's a little bit embarrassing, but it isn't the end of the world. We're not all going to see top watched out of the King Power in handcuffs. Let me just say that. And if you're doing nothing in the morning, UK time 7:05. So I don't know what time that will be in where you are, Jim.
2:05 in the morning.
Oh, you. I'll let you off then.
Right. I
will be on TalkSport Radio. So TalkSport 1, the breakfast show. Check it out. I don't know what they're going to be talking to me about. Interesting, isn't it? Yes. Maybe.
Let's go back to the sponsor. You remember the beginning of the season, or when it was announced, there was an uproar among the fan base. A lot of the fan base, just because it was a betting firm. Maybe they had something right. I mean, personally, I usually, when I come over every year, I usually get a different shirt each year. Yeah. I didn't get one this trip. I'm a King Power guy. I like that. Yeah. But I just didn't feel it was right. I know they had like a 2-year contract.
It's 2 years because at the end of 2 years, nobody in the Premier League can have a sponsor on the front of their shirt. They can have it on the sleeve. They can have, the cubicles in the concessions in the grounds and what have you. But they can't do that. Everybody was concerned at the start because it was betting. It was crypto, which is everybody's little, I think once you say crypto, you suddenly start, oh, really?
Yeah, really.
Yeah. But I have to say, and I will say this, that Leicester, we lost our sponsor when we went down. King Power came in. King Power, yeah, we've got to be grateful for the fact that they do sponsor the shirts. But if we can get an outside sponsor in, obviously that helps, and usually more money. The two companies that actually... Well, the two top companies that put bids in were both betting companies.
Oh.
And the BC Game and their parent company, which is that one there, right. They put the biggest bid in. Due diligence must have been done to some point, but at the end of the day, when you're doing a deal, you take a lot of it at face value, don't you? So It's interesting to see when they're paying, how they pay. I do know what part of PSR it might or might not affect. It's about half an hour of the video, so it's not a long one. Right. But do get on. It went out this afternoon, so it's called. Basically, it is called what I just ever put up there. Chatting City.
WTF, right?
Yeah, WTF. You can't miss it. It's under the pick in the top column. And just to say, Stefan asked me there. I think. Hang on. Where was it? Oh yeah, what was the podcast name? His podcast name is the Price of Football Podcast. He talks all about. I mean, if you ever follow him on Kieran Maguire on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, he's all talking money. Southampton have equalised, have they? Excellent, because I actually went for 1-1. At the moment, I'm on for 3 points in the prediction league. Blow the whistle, as your Donald Trump would say, end it now. Sorry, I don't like to mention his name, but there we go.
It's fine with me.
Yeah. Jim, thank you very much, mate, for coming on. Do appreciate that. Look, we've got smiles on our faces. We've got the
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I guess we'll see you on the post-match tomorrow.
Yeah, I will see you post-match. The link will go out tomorrow. Hopefully, we'll have smiles on our faces again.
Would be nice.
It would be nice. Jim, all the best, mate. Thank you very, very much for coming on. Cheers.
See ya.
thanks to Jim there. His details are in the description below, by the way, on YouTube, if you want to give him a follow on social media. Look, who isn't smiling at the moment? Who isn't smiling? Says here Southampton have equalised. Yeah, don't like the sponsor. It's ugly as well. Yes, it is. Forever, nothing wrong with Pap. Look, it brings the money in. I actually, and this is quite funny, I bought the away kit. I haven't bought the home kit this season. I bought the away kit, which was the black one with the different colours on, and it actually came through with no sponsor on, and it actually looks weird. And I was quite, well, great, this hasn't got a sponsor on, because I don't particularly like BC Game and like you say, the Pac-Man logo, but it looked weird without one on. Maybe that's just, we've just got used to having stupid things on the front of our shirts. They do. I mean, it's great to have them, but look, we need different money in, and they bring more money in. Leicester are away at Brentford. Did a preview with Mr. B earlier, Brentford fan. Who are Southampton playing? Brighton away. You're quite right on I think who are Leicester playing. 60 minutes gone there. 66 minutes gone. Come on, just blow your whistle, ref. End it. Brighton have been the better team. Blah, 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 blah. Nice guy. Look, Jim. If you're on about Jim is an amazing. He's English, but he's been over in America that long. He's got an American accent. He comes over and he actually gets tickets and he goes to the matches. So fair play to him. They will. You might be able to get them at a discount if you hang on. Catch me at 7:05. I'm assuming the cricket does an overrun. I've no idea about cricket. Are they even playing at the moment? I don't know. 7:05. So much for my weekend lie-in tomorrow. And then I'll be back at 2:30 with Brad for the watch-along. Pre-match, half-time, and obviously full-time with that gentleman that was on before, Jim, and obviously Wayne as well. And that will be post-match. Let's hope we're celebrating even more. Ruud will be there. Well, we'll be there, won't we? It'd be rude not to. I had to do it. See you tomorrow. Thanks for being into the chat. Cheers, guys. All the best. Good night.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You better like them too, or I'll be back.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
That will conclude this evening's entertainment.